Hello and welcome to the Fischer Random channel on YouTube. As the name implies, this channel is dedicated to Fischer Random chess, which is also known as chess960. In this video I'm going to give a brief introduction into the game and talk in high level terms about the origins and some of the rules of the game. In future videos I'll go into one or two of the more complicated areas in more detail. This is just really an appetizer to get you familiar with some of the basics of the game. Hopefully after watching this and perhaps doing a couple of minutes of further reading yourself, you should be well on your way to enjoying chess960. The game itself was the invention of former chess world champion Grandmaster Bobby Fischer, and he unveiled this game in 1995. Fischer Random chess is actually based upon an earlier chess variant called shuffle chess, and Fischer's vision was to really design a form of chess which was more about creativity and tactical ability than it was about memorizing hundreds and hundreds of different opening moves. So to introduce the game, it's probably best just to talk about how it compares and contrasts with the standard game. So, the pawns are placed on the 2nd and 7th ranks, just as they are in standard chess. All the pieces go on the 1st and the 8th ranks. These are placed in a random order, but there are two very important restrictions. First of all, the king must be placed on a square between the two rooks. In simple terms, this means that the king cannot be on the A or H files. In addition, there must be one light squared bishop and one dark square bishop. In all versions of the chess960 starting positions, black's pieces are placed equal and opposite to white's pieces. They're an exact mirror image. In general, the pieces and the pawn moves are all identical to chess. This means if you can already play standard chess, then you can learn Fischer Random chess within a few minutes. The more common name, chess960, comes from the fact that there are 960 possible starting positions, and one of these is the standard chess starting position, which we're all familiar with. The basic goals of the game remain the same, that being to checkmate your opponent, and the other rules are also the same, such as stalemate, draws en passant, pawn promotion, etc., etc. Castling is similar to standard chess, but it's not identical. The same rules apply regarding castling rights. For example, the king and rook must not have been moved. The castling process must be unimpeded in terms of all the other pieces being out of the way, and the king itself cannot castle out of check or castle through check. Castling is the one thing that probably requires more information than this introduction video will give. In basic terms though, the difference is due to the fact that the king and the rook are quite clearly in different positions. As I said, I'll cover that in more detail in a follow-up video. So let's take a look at an actual starting position in Fischer Random. So just to reinforce what I said, you can see that the pawns are in an identical position to standard chess. The white pawns are on the 2nd rank, and the black pawns are on the 7th rank. All the pieces are on the 1st and 8th ranks respectively. And let's talk a little bit about the rules. So, as I said before, the first critical thing is that the king, white's king being on G1, must have a rook either side of it. In this case, the rooks are on F and H files. They could equally be on this F rook could equally be on the B file, for example. There must be one dark square and one light square bishop, and here for white we can see dark square bishop on A1, light square bishop on B1. The other pieces, those being the queen and the two knights, are simply placed on the remaining squares. And as I said before, if you look at white's position, the pieces of black's are an exact mirror image. So, some general rules in terms of principles of 960. Many of these are exactly the same as standard chess. The concepts of quick development and controlling the centre are just as important in Fischer Random chess as they are in standard chess. King safety is, of course, the most important consideration, but in addition to this, in Fischer Random, particularly in the opening moves, some consideration needs to be given to queen safety and rook safety also. Because of the random position of these pieces, the normal concepts of weak and strong squares don't necessarily apply, and this means that they can be vulnerable to attack, particularly from bishops. Weak squares and piece coordination are different in 960. Obviously, we're very familiar with playing knight f3, for example. In Fischer Random, this kind of coordination does not necessarily apply. For this reason, there's an even greater influence of calculation in Fischer Random. In my opinion, the game lends itself perhaps giving an advantage to those players that are more familiar with very open, highly tactical openings, and perhaps gives a slight disadvantage to those of us preferring closed or semi-open positional openings. As I said earlier, board vision and being aware of piece coordination is absolutely critical, and believe you me, after playing a couple of games, you'll see that particularly in the short term, bishops can be even more devastating in Fischer Random than they can in standard chess. So, as I said, the purpose of this video is purely to give a short introduction into the game. In the next video, I'll talk more about castling and castling rights. If you found the video useful, then please consider subscribing, and you can find more information on FischerRandom.com, and you can also find us on Twitter and Facebook. Many thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.